Welcome, everyone, to the November 30th City Council Work Session. We're going to immediately meet in executive session pursuant to ORS 1926602E. Representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the public are not permitted to attend. We'll wait for the okay.
2.
Right.
It looks to me like
Okay,
We're on.
You're in.
we're probably not going to get to fireworks today.
And that's urgent.
Well, it depends on how you want to do it, but
Yeah.
parks was discussion supposed to take an hour. Okay, thank you.
While you're discussing, I'll.
And we're back in our main session.
You were, and the mayor opened it as urban renewal, went into executive session, so now we've come out of executive session as the urban renewal agency.
And then-
Oh, We're still the urban renewal agency.
Thank you for.
Because that's how you originally
Thank you
opened
for
it.
eyeballing that. Yes. Yeah, me too. All right, so we're urban renewal meeting right now. And we're going to, as soon as people settle, we'll have you present this again. Got quite the crowd in the room, huh?
Okay.
Why?
All right, let's get going. Glenn, you want to talk about the, what we're going to be just having a motion
Certainly.
about?
We're here as the urban renewal agency at the moment. The question for you is whether you want to revise in one specific way the authority that you gave to the agency director, the city manager, to enter into a purchase and sale agreement with EWEB for the riverfront property. Previously, you had authorized that purchase and sale agreement with a condition that required EWEB to hold the agency and the city harmless for any legal claim based on any environmental contamination that existed at the time that the property closes. The change that we're asking you to consider is to say not only does the environmental contamination have to exist as of the date of closing, but the hold harmless would be based on the environmental laws and regulations that are in effect at the time of the closing. So the question for you is whether you're willing to add that language. You have before you the motion that you passed on July 27th, 2016, and in capital letters in the middle of that, you see where I have added the words "and environmental laws." That would enable the manager to enter into an agreement that says, okay, EWEB, you have to hold us harmless for environmental contamination based on environmental laws in existence as of the date that closing occurs.
Okay, and I think Mike has a question or comment.
Assuming we grant, thank you, Mayor, assuming we grant the authority, which what do you estimate the time frame for the steps of the agreement from here?
The time frame for actually coming to an agreement on the purchase and sale. You know, what we've been talking to Frank Lawson about is by the end of the year, we'd like to have the agreement agreed to. So that's what our timeline is.
30 days.
That's what we're trying to get to.
But the execution of it would take roughly,
I'm not sure how long it.
So when John says have the agreement agreed to, what we're hoping is that we actually have the document signed by the end of the year. The document just says, okay, now we have the purchase and sale agreement agreed to, and basically we have a period of due diligence. So the property wouldn't actually change hands for a number of months after that. But we would have the terms agreed to in writing, hopefully by the end of the year.
can you speculate on the closing date?
I think part of that has to do with some of the obligations, for example, progress on the no further action letter and those types of things that we may want to see happen before we close. So it's probably months after we sign. How many months, it's hard to say, but.
Thank you.
Best estimate at the moment, I'd say 4 to 6 months, in large part because of that no further action letter.
Okay.
So the motion that we're going to have Greg put on the table is to just do the whole thing, move to amend?
If you don't want to read the whole thing, you could say, move to amend the council's July 27th, let me say that again, move to amend the Urban Renewal Agency's July 27, 2016 motion to add the words "and environmental laws" after the words "environmental contamination."
Sounds good enough to me. So moved.
Second.
And moved and seconded. I see no further discussion. All those in favor, please indicate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And Alan?
Yes.
7 in favor and none in opposition. Passes. Yes, City Manager.
Good way to go.
Oh, I have to get out of the, what did you
No,
say?
for the next item, I'll have a suggestion for the next
Okay,
items.
let me move out of the Urban Renewal Agency and into the City Council meeting. All right.
What I would suggest, given time, that we consider adding a noon work session next Wednesday, which you don't have. Both of these items are urgent. One, the systems plan and the fireworks. We want to get both of those before you go on break. I would suggest a systems plan today, and we'll do the fireworks on Wednesday, and we'll be able to pick those items up that way. That would be my suggestion.
Everybody okay?
December 7th?
Yes.
Parks plans more.
Pearl Harbor Day.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a celebratory meeting.
I'm not saying it.
All right, we'll do that.
Okay, so then I would ask the systems plan folks to come on up and take us. And while they're getting ready, just to remind you, this is an update. We know there's a lot of information. We're not asking you to make any decisions today around this particular topic, but we will be coming back after the first of the year for a couple of more work sessions to continue to work through this plan. So.
Great. All righty. Good afternoon, and thanks for having us back. Again, this is a update of information we've been giving you over the last year and a half. And so today we're bringing you new information specific to what you previously have discussed and requested. It includes what level of commitment does our community have in supporting this plan? What are the primary needs in our system, and what type of projects are surfacing as priorities at this time? And also, what are the funding options for implementation of this plan? We do want to appreciate that council members have already shown an understanding of the value and significance and significant impact of this plan in our community. It has a direct impact on the health and wellness of our community. It impacts all three legs of the triple bottom line: social equity, environmental health, and economic prosperity. And this plan increases the connectedness of our community, both physically and socially. So primarily, this plan addresses the quality of life here in Eugene and why people choose to live here. And with that, I'll pass it to Carolyn.
Okay. Good afternoon. I'm Carolyn Burke, and I'm the project manager for the Parks and Recreation System Plan. Today we are going to give you a presentation, a little bit a reminder about background of where we've been with this effort. We'll talk about community engagement, summarize our long-range vision for the system, and then kind of zoom in on some of the priority projects that have been identified, and then we'll introduce some of the implementation and funding options. Just a refresher, the goals of this planning effort are to address current problems with our system, to plan for the future population growth that we expect and with the demographic shifts that will accompany that, and also to really just think about the vision of Parks and Recreation for future generations and what that will look like. And I do want to just pause and talk about this photo for a moment. We have a lot of great photos in our presentations, and I was giving this or a similar presentation to a neighborhood group a couple weeks ago, and a woman came up to me afterwards and she asked me for this picture because this woman was her neighbor, and it's Jerry Freeman, and she recently did pass, but this photo she thought really captured her spirit. She was a very active participant in the River House Outdoor program, really quite late into life. And I think it just serves to remind us about why we do this, and that today we'll be talking a lot about projects and dollar amounts and priorities, but it's really about the people that get to use these places and how it improves their lives.
She was a dog lover, too. To the end of her life.
Awesome. Okay, so we were here in January when we had just completed our needs assessment. We presented you those findings of the needs of the system, and then we came back to you in June after we had taken that needs assessment and really evolved it into this vision for the future, and talked to you about how we would be engaging the community in this effort over the summer. So we're here today to tell you the results of that engagement effort and to bring the projects a little bit more tangible besides just the conceptual vision, and talk about implementation. The way that it looks on our diagram that we've been using ever since the beginning, you can see we're moving quite along. We are in the refine phase. So we have done a community engagement throughout this entire effort, and we now have a plan with some draft projects, draft priorities. We'll continue to refine these over the winter, and then our intention is to come back in the spring for adoption. And also a refresher of the principles that we first identified after our initial community engagement efforts. And these principles have served to really guide our decision-making, and they're simple. There's 4 of them. Care for and make the most of what we have. Serve the entire community, be equitable in how we provide our services. To create more connections and make sure that people can get to the services that we provide, and that we have a very accessible system, and to build better partnerships. So to develop new partnerships, but also just work harder to leverage the resources within the community. Over the summer, we have done a lot of additional outreach, including a Picture Your Parks newsletter that was mailed to every single household. We've done a couple different surveys, an online survey that over 800 people participated in, a statistically valid telephone survey that 300 frequent voters participated in. We brought our Little Red trailer out on the road again for some pop-ups. We've had neighborhood meetings. We have board and commission meetings scheduled. We've done phase 2 of our Latino outreach efforts. And we have a newly developed advisory group. And this is a photo of some of the members of our advisory group. It's about 15 members. We met for the second time last night, a very productive meeting. And these folks represent people from all over the city and just bring different perspectives. We even have 2 youth that are on this group. And they just serve as a sounding board for us to talk about and vet ideas and recommendations before we bring them to you. And now I'd like to take just like about a minute and a half for those of you who haven't been able to make it out to a Little Red pop-up tour. We have this little video that just captures the essence of it pretty well.
Frankly, I think this public outreach is very good because you are where people are, the people that are using the parks. And very frankly, the people who use the parks need to be able to express themselves because not a lot of people are willing to go sit at a city council meeting and wait for public comment period.
Been to a city council meeting and it was pretty cool. You have to wait a long time. You have to sign up your name to be able to talk. I think the fact that the city puts on events like this is super valuable to the community.
There was a survey we did and it had a lot of suggestions on it that I don't think I would have thought about doing with parks until I read it on there. So it's super cool. There's lots of stuff you can do.
I think it's a great way to reach people.
Yeah.
To access me that way.
Music and food. Everyone loves music and food. Yeah.
People just go with their regular lives and you guys, made us pay attention. That's cool.
Need to have more public meetings like this.
Great cities have great parks.
We need these parks for Eugene, but we need these parks for Eugene to become an even greater place for people to live.
All right, that's a bit of the flavor. They're pretty fun, and we will continue engaging the community in this way after this project is over. It's just a great way to stay in touch. So as we do move towards the conclusion of this project, we think about the products and the outcomes that we're trying to achieve. And I'd say there's two. And the first one is really the longer range vision. And so it's kind of imagining the possibilities of what can be. But then it's also being a little bit more realistic about what we can accomplish in the next 5 and 10 years and identifying those. So we're doing both of those. So first, on the vision side of things, this is a graphic depiction of our long-range vision, and this was the centerfold of the newsletter that was mailed to households. And it really captures, I think, everything that we've heard and that we think is possible with the system. A few of the highlights are to, number one, make parks safer, to renovate our existing facilities, our community centers, our pools, and our parks that are in need of renovation because they're in poor shape, to build new facilities, parks, community centers, and pools in our underserved areas of town, to enhance recreation along our waterways, primarily the Willamette River. I think people really recognize that as one of our natural assets and that we should be taking advantage of that. And then also to really focus on improving walking and biking opportunities throughout the whole community. As we look at these big kind of conceptual ideas, we have developed a project list, which is now about 250 projects long. I will say the total cost is well over $300 million, but that is, again, a long-range vision and something that would be implemented over many, many decades. So then the question becomes, how do we focus in on what we do first? So I want to talk a little bit about our prioritizing criteria. This was also included in a little bit more detail in your packets. But first off, we wanted to kind of filter all of these projects through some kind of objective tool to help us understand what should be our priorities. So this is one lens that we looked at. And it includes addressing some of those challenges that we have around safety, around geographic equity, and around our maintenance dollars. And so we really did look at projects that would either improve or make more efficient our maintenance practices, or in the future kind of lower the types of maintenance activities that are needed. We also have survey results that we were able to pull from that looked at what are the priority projects in different areas of town. So we have that information. We look at timing and urgency considerations, the ability to leverage partner dollars and opportunities, thinking about those trends that we're trying to be proactive about and be out in front of. So again, kind of looking at our growing population and aging population, one that's more diverse, one that needs more healthy options to stay active. And then, of course, bringing in that triple bottom line of looking at what are the environmental, the economic, and the social considerations of all of these projects. Just a couple slides about our phone survey results and the priorities that the community had. When we asked people about their most important recreation projects to fund, the top two projects, 25 and 29%, that's actually within the margin of error, so those two are about equal. And the first one is to build a combined community center and pool in an area of town that is underserved. That is a very strong priority of the community, as is renovating and expanding our existing community centers. So both of those things ranked very high. And when we look at the results about what people said regarding the most important park projects to fund, this is where the walking and biking system really does elevate to the top, as well as maintaining our existing parks and natural areas and building new parks in areas of town that don't have them. So I want to stress that these are draft priorities. We still have work to do. We still want to hear from you. We want to hear from the community. We have probably some right sizing to do around budgets, but this is the beginning of the conversation about priorities. So we've been able to whittle our priority projects down to about $80 million over, let's say, a 5 to 10 year time frame. The way that those projects break out is represented in dollar amounts on the pie chart, with a significant portion in renovated recreation facilities. It's not that there's a lot of projects there, but they do tend to be have a high dollar value associated with them, as well as looking at some new parks, again, in those underserved areas of town, renovating some of our our parks that are in poor shape. Safety improvements came through as a high priority, and on the capital side, this often translates into lighting improvements in areas that are not well lit, as well as trails, paths, and access improvements. Here's some sample projects, kind of highlights from different parts of town. This is by no means a complete list, but it will give you an idea. So let's see, we'll start with the Bethel, Danabo area, and we really did tailor the project's priorities to the needs of that particular area of town. So in Bethel, a top priority project is to remodel Echo Hollow Pool. This is one of our rec facilities that is in the poorest shape, and we actually also have a potential to work with the Bethel School District, as they have plans or hopes to remodel Cascade Middle School, which is directly adjacent to Echo Hollow Pool. So we've been talking about doing that project in partnership. Also looking at a number of sports field renovations in the Bethel area, as well as Golden Gardens Phase 1 park development. And that could include not only some neighborhood park amenities, but we are in the process of doing a feasibility study of a sports complex. At Golden Gardens, we have Phase 1 of the feasibility study done. We're entering into Phase 2, where we'll get more specific information about cost estimates, operating procedures, and things like that. So we'll know more about that later. Down in the Southwest, we are talking about developing Mattie Reynolds Park, which is on the former Rexius site right there off of West 11th along the Amazon Creek, as well as a fair amount of trail and habitat projects, because we have a lot of natural areas in that part of town, as well as some safety improvements along the Fern Ridge Path Corridor. When we get up into River Road, Santa Clara area, what we need there is some park development. And so we have identified Ferndale and Ruby neighborhood parks for neighborhood park development, as well as Phase 1 of Santa Clara Community Park. We still have some additional acquisition to do for that park, but we can still get started on some of the initial park development. Also looking at lighting improvements along the West Bank path to improve safety of the corridor there, and some acquisition efforts of the riverfront north of Beltline, and extending that West Bank path to the north. That is a very high priority project for folks in that area. Moving on to Willackenzie, we have identified Sheldon Community Center and Pool renovation as a priority project. We can recognize some operational efficiencies by actually combining those two into one facility, and it can structurally be done in the remodel. Some park development at Stryker Fields and Chase Commons. Those are both neighborhood parks that serve areas with a lot of high-density housing. Moving on to City Central, looking at renovation of the Campbell Community Center and River House outdoor program. Also renovating some of our neighborhood parks and the park blocks in the downtown area. And then moving on to Southeast Eugene, looking at, again, renovating some neighborhood parks that are in poor condition, some trail and habitat projects, because we have a fair amount of natural area in that area, as well as some lighting improvements. The other thing I'd say about Southeast Eugene, we don't show any recreation facility improvements there, but we are looking with, recognizing that the YMCA has an effort to rebuild their facility in that area, and of course the Civic Alliance also is engaged in some efforts to improve some facilities in that area. And what I would also say is that the areas that are older, so Southeast Eugene and City Central, you see more of the renovation projects, whereas in other areas of town, there's more new park development. A few citywide highlights. These are projects that don't necessarily fit into a particular geographic category, but we know that improving our restroom situation is very important to the community, and so looking at a kind of strategic plan about how to provide those services and improve them. Also improving just basic amenities around the system. People are always asking for more benches and more places for informal family gatherings, which was actually a recommendation from the Latino outreach that we've done. Improving our bicycle connections and walking connections throughout the city in order to get better access to our park system and our recreation facilities, safe access to the Willamette River for people to enjoy in a variety of ways. Looking at multi-generational playground and exercise equipment, which is kind of a trend across the country, where you can go to a park or along a trail and there are different fitness activities that people can engage in and just kind of without having to join a gym, and for all ages. And then, of course, partnering with our school districts on both playground upgrades and turf field renovations, because so many of our school facilities do also serve a dual function of park facilities, so we need to work to improve those as well. So that does it for kind of the project side of things. Now I'd like to spend a couple more minutes talking about implementation. And when we talk about implementation, there's really two different tracks. So there's the capital side, where we're talking about projects, and then there's the operation and maintenance side. And so basically they have two different funding sources, so we need to talk about them in two different paths. So first I'm going to talk about the orange, the Parks and Recreation capital projects. We've already talked a little bit about what those priority projects might look like. The next step then is to think about, well, what are the feasible funding options that we have for capital projects? We did ask a question in our frequent voter survey. We put out 4 different scenarios and asked what people's level of support would be for those. And you can see at the $30 million scenario, there was some pretty good support with 62% total. And then at the $50 million scenario, about 57% support. And then it goes down pretty considerably once we get into some of those larger numbers around 70 and 100 million, which is good information to have. When we think about what are those funding sources, we know that we have existing capital funding. We have the 2006 bond measure that we still have approximately $5 million left in that fund, which is targeted primarily for acquisition projects, but that's still available for priority projects. We do have system development charges, and we have a pretty good savings account of those right now because we haven't been able to build new parks because we can't afford to maintain new parks. So if we can address that issue, we can kind of unlock the key to some of those existing system development charge funds. And then we also have a good track record of just leveraging funds through partnerships, donations, and grants, and anticipate doing even more of that in the future. So we did include in your packet a report that was done by the Trust for Public Lands that looked at what are some of the new additional funding sources. And by and large, when it comes to capital, voter-approved bonds are the primary way that capital park and rec projects are funded in this state. And so we think that that probably has the most feasibility moving forward. So now let's talk a little bit about that second track of park maintenance. So first step is to identify what are the priority services. This pie chart really represents our identified needs that will move us towards being able to fully maintain and steward our parks system. So it's about $2.3 million additional dollars, and that would be spent then according to this proportionate pie chart here, park safety and security for a good chunk of that money, and that would include making our park ambassadors full-time and year-round. So 2 of those, an additional 2 bicycle patrol from EPD in our parks, as well as 1 dedicated EPD officer. For parks maintenance services, we're looking at an additional $700,000, which would basically restore a lot of the services that we've cut in recent years, including reopening restrooms, restoring our custodial frequencies in parks, and going back to some of the landscaping and turf care that we've been able to do in the past. There's another category up there called future park maintenance. So we wanted to build in a little bit of room for growth. Not a ton. That would represent about being able to care for another 4 neighborhood parks and 1 community park that we would see over the next, say, 5 years, so that we could grow our system and not kind of find ourselves in the same situation as we are in now 5 years from now. Then also looking at the next category is undeveloped site stabilization and habitat enhancement. This is something that's kind of goes unseen, but as we acquire land, it's really important that we be able to, especially natural areas, to address some of the invasive species issues, to be able to do wildfire mitigation, to be able to get access into the area, to maintain it, to build fences and gates and things like that. So we need to be able to kind of stabilize these sites when we first acquire them and do some habitat renovations. And then finally, the illicit activity response looks at what we need to do in order to clean up illegal campsites and the vandalism that occurs in parks on a regular basis. So we did ask a question in our telephone survey about support for funding park maintenance. We found that at the $2 million level, there was 71% from the community, and at the $2.5 million level, which included additional safety and security efforts, there was support at a 64% level. So those were pretty strong results. And then funding sources. So again, we obviously have existing funding sources for operations and maintenance coming primarily from the general fund and from stormwater funds. And then when we look at what are the possible new O&M funding sources, what we have identified as being most feasible in our community and that can have the full capacity to address our full need, really it comes down to a voter-approved operating levy or some kind of ongoing park utility fee. So that concludes my portion of the presentation, and now I'm going to pass it over to Craig Carnegie for some final thoughts.
All right, thanks, Carolyn. So next steps, Again, the purpose of this work session was to provide you with an informational update, including strategies for moving toward adoption and implementation of this plan. We certainly know the council has lots of competing needs and priorities to balance, and we tried hard to integrate into this plan what we've heard from you along the way, as well as council's stated goals. We'd like to bring this plan back to you for adoption this spring with a specific funding proposal, as well as more voter polling data. We realize there's a lot of information in your packet today, and that you may want more information from us, which we can certainly provide at your request. But again, today, we're not asking for council action at this work session. We're simply asking to hear your thoughts about where we are now and whether or not we're on the right track. We want to thank you for this opportunity to present, and now we'll open it up for your comments.
For being here. Mike, one thing I wanted to bring up was you have what we would gain from all of these improvements there and all the other things that you've talked, but there's a piece here about what will it relieve that we're already having to deal with, that we need to quantify in terms of the cost that we might save, as well as what we have to spend. And I think that needs to be part of the discussion with the community, that we had some of these plans and proposals will actually relieve things that are costly to us now, and that we are working on as a community. And I think people need to see that. The other thing I was thinking about, I know council in the future is going to have a discussion about sort of reinvigorating that dashboard idea that we had years ago. But I think it's really going to be important when you put this together that you be able to visually demonstrate to people how you're going down the road to achieve those goals once you've adopted them. Or when you lose ground, it has to show both things in a really accessible way for the public, that's easy for them to understand and easy for them to see what kind of progress we're making. Mike, you're up next.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to echo her remarks. I agree that how do we tackle existing problems by looking at other parts of the city, specifically Parks and Rec, as solutions to other problems, and how does that relieve those? I think that's a fantastic idea. I'm one that has always and still does look at how do we deal with the issues we face in an innovative way. I know the manager has, but we talk about this all the time. I was less excited to hear that the typical funding methods we find around the state are bond and levy, and that's what we're presented with, and none of them are innovative. As I look around the room here, I don't know for a fact, I may well be wrong, but I don't see anybody from the Parks Foundation in here, or do I? Okay, all right, so, all right, one. My point being is that's something I brought up considerably, is that we have an organizational structure in place that we're not making use of by any stretch of the imagination to the extent that we could. The University of Oregon has done a wonderful job with their foundation, and they've done a wonderful job at looking at how we create endowments that change an important part of our life for the long term. And I think that the Parks Foundation exists as a structure that could be utilized because parks are such an important and vibrant part of everybody's life that lives here. Let's reflect it in our actions about creating long-term financial security for our kids with how we deal with this. And I think they have to play a role. And I really want to see, as a part of a plan we finally approve, an integral part of how the foundation plays a long-term role. Secondly, I want to hear more baseline information. I'm going to run out of time. What's the planning period for, we have a pros plan, got remanded. We have a project list that are not adopted, but accepted. What's the time frame on the project list? It covers what years? It was a 20-year window?
It was a 20-year window, yes.
From which year to which year?
Well, that was starting in 2006, I believe.
So we're 10, that's what I thought, 5 or 6. So we're 10, 11 years into that window. What's the percentage of those projects we've completed to date?
The majority of the high-level projects have been completed from that pros plan.
The majority of the high-level projects.
Right. So the priority 1 projects I believe almost all of them, if not all of them, have been completed. I can get you specific information. But
I'd love to, because we talked about this before. We've talked about that list, and it seemed last time we talked about it like a small percentage. But I know as raw numbers, as opposed to large-scale, expensive projects. Checking into that's going to be important to me, because I want to understand on previous plans we've made, how far along are we there before we create a new plan? Just having that kind of check-in. I know there are a lot of other people watching that, and when we're talking about potentially using SDCs, that plays a role, and I want to know where we are with that. I have 7 seconds. Please put me down for a second round, Mayor, because I have a lot more here.
George Polling.
Thank you. One of the areas that I was kind of concerned in is your phone polls that you did. You broke it down into two different sections. You asked about funding for basically building new parks or renovating new parks, and the second was about financing maintenance. Did you combine that question and said, okay, we've got your opinion on A and B, what about A and B together?
No, we kept them separate.
Okay, so any future polling that's done, is it possible to combine that, say, okay, we know that we've got 70% here, we've got 70% here, but if you combine the two, which we need, it may drop to 30. I don't know, and that's something that I'd like to know on that. The other thing is something that I've suggested for a long time, and I don't know if we're any closer on that or if we're even looking into that, is you drive down the freeway and you see these adopt a highway signs. Now, I've suggested in the past, adopt a park. And we've got all kinds of service organizations out there, the Scouts, the Rotary, even the fraternities and sororities at the U of O. Have we addressed maybe getting them involved, and not necessarily on a weekly basis, but maybe every 6 months have them come in and do some sort of assistance with the park maintenance?
yeah, we have a very active Adopt a Park program, and folks are in our parks weekly helping us with our maintenance needs. We also have a very active volunteer program, which over the last year brought in equal to about $350,000 of time spent in our parks. So we've done a lot to shore up that leg of the system and really getting the community involved in helping to maintain our parks.
That's good to know. Do they have signage at the parks where these organizations are actually?
Yeah, most of them do have some sort of recognition like that. If there's an actual adopt a park, like a neighborhood group that's actually adopted it, we typically will provide some sort of signage and recognition.
Okay. And then one last point. Mike and I have been working very closely with the Northeast Neighborhood Association on trying to get Stryker Field developed. We've got tons and tons of people up there volunteering, willing to volunteer time, money, effort, whatever it takes. And, they've drawn up different plans. I know they've been working closely with you folks. But as far as the prioritizing of new parks, is there any way that we can put into this plan that you're coming up with, if there's an undeveloped park that has an active groups such as we have in the Northeast neighbors, to put them at the top of the priority, especially in the north part of town where we're drastically underserved with new parks or parks at all?
That's definitely built into our criteria, and we did show Stryker Field as a priority 1 project, in part because we have this. We know there's a great need there, and we do have this very active group that wants to chip in and make it happen. So,
do we have any idea when that's going to get started? Are we trying to still iron out some of the technicalities?
We're still trying to iron that out, and probably the biggest issue is around operating and maintaining the park once it is built, and so we're really looking to make some progress on that issue. In order to start building some new parks.
Thank you.
Yep.
Greg?
Thanks, Mayor. I really appreciate all the hard work and the report. I know that you've been on this for a couple of years now, so there's been a lot of work involved in going into this. A couple things, and I know I'm going to need a second round on this, will be, so you talked about partnerships in this as part of a strategic portion of this planning. So one question that I have in terms of partnerships is, how do we further build those partnerships with school districts and also other districts like River Road Parks District, because they have some specific concerns around what their future is going to look like as a Parks District. And secondly, how do we build these networks specifically around the capital side of the ledger? And that is that we build more infrastructure. We're able to rehabilitate the infrastructure that we have vis-a-vis the pool situation. I know that Echo Hollow, my pool, is a D-rated pool and has significant challenges around its infrastructure that needs to be dealt with. So there's a tipping point between renovation and rebuild or build new. And so are we at those tipping points, for example, with Echo Hollow? I know maybe to a lesser degree would be Sheldon, but, with community centers, pool facilities, and other recreational pieces to that infrastructure puzzle, where are we landing on that? And are there some opportunities for partnerships that could be constructed either in a special district scenario or some kind of sub-level intergovernmental relationship connectivity that we could do with partner districts such as school districts and, say, River Road?
Yeah, I can answer that or start it. It's a long question, but starting with partnerships, we've had a long history of partnerships with school districts, both school districts primarily, and we're continuing that. Part of our communication is finding out when they are, what their plans are for capital projects in the near future, and that's where we discovered in talking with Bethel that they need to look at Cascade Middle School, and they need to look at Echo Hollow Pool. Our pool itself is actually a very unique pool in the whole state of Oregon because it's indoor-outdoors, and we feel right now that it's still been maintained well enough to remodel it, renovate it in combination with Cascade Middle School, because we have a after-school program that's gone on there for 12 years, and so we're very good partners in that way. So that was a priority project that is very easy to look at. Also, in communication with community partners around town, we consider River Road Parks and Recreation District a partner in serving our community with recreation and parks. So I know there's some issues related to that, and as far as what they're trying to do around a special district. But for us to look at the service area, our primary goal is who is serving that area? Do we need to serve it? What is our relationship with them? That would be similar to what Carolyn already mentioned. We look at the YMCA as a partner. Where are their intentions going? Where are their capital projects going? How does that relate to our capital projects and where our intentions are? Because we want to try to spread it around. That's the same with Kids Sports as a partner of ours. And what are we going to do with the Civic Stadium complex? And how does that affect our plans to put anything in South Eugene? So we have a long list of partners at different levels that we're in communication with. We have the Boys and Girls Club of Emory Valley inside Westmoreland Community Center, and that's a great partnership. They're fully utilizing that facility. So with that, yes, each one of these variables that we discussed have different levels of decision-making around how much a partner plays in our decision, and so all those things come into play. The special district question, I don't know, John, if you want to address that in any way, shape, or form.
That's a very complicated issue, as you know, and we've worked with them for years and continue to try to find a really good place for all of us to land, sort of in this Parks and Rec place. So I don't have any specifics at the moment, but I think it is an ongoing conversation that we'll want to continue with the district.
So I know I've got 39 seconds left. So to be more specific about where I'm at on this, what do we need to do in collaboration with some of our partners to create the kinds of capital investment and facilities that we need to either renovate, build new, whatever we need to do for those facilities that are existing that are in desperate situation?
Next up is Chris.
Thank you. I really appreciate the work that you've done. It's never easy to try to, plan for the future and what the capital costs for that are. I think in all of these conversations, the underlying concept that never should be lost, and this is true about the conversation even with River Road, is you first think of the users, the people. What's best for them, whether it's parks or recreation facilities or joining efforts or doing whatever it is you're going to do. At the bottom of it all is what's going to best serve the people. And I think that's always a balance between what you do capital and what you do operations. Because as we've learned, you can build a building, but if you don't have the money to operate it, then you've got real problems. You can develop a park, but if you haven't got the money to maintain it, you've got a problem. And so with that in mind, I'm always thinking, what is the appropriate balance between what you want to do on the capital side and what that then requires you to do on the operations side? Because if you don't have both, you are not serving the public. And that's the bottom line. And so, for example, just as a quick example, when I looked at your pie chart about capital projects, you had talked about renovating and remodeling and improving versus new facilities. And even though a combined recreation facility and pool got the most number of votes, even I am conscious of the fact that's a high capital cost and a high operational cost. I get that. So with that as a prelude, I still am mindful of the fact that in my ward, Ward 8, there's not a single community center in that entire ward. And there's community centers all over the city, but Ward 8 don't have a single one. Huh?
Nothing, sorry, go ahead.
Well, okay, there may be another one, but I'll make my case for my ward. You can make your case for yours. Even a modest, and that's where I'm coming from, even a modest community center would be better than none at all. So with a mind to the maintenance costs and the ongoing operation costs, if there's some way you could incorporate into your thinking, this is my pitch to you, see if you can incorporate into your thinking some sort of a modest community center representation in the areas that really don't have anything at all. I think the dollar scale issue is one when you talk about private versus public participation in this whole thing. It is incredibly great to have private participation in whatever it is you do, both in capital and operations. But you have to consider that when you're looking at $81 million, the private sector ain't going to represent a large percent of that. So the heavy lifting will need to be done by the public partner, even as you actively go out to look for the private partners to help you with that. I think the effort really has to be realistic and in balance if you're really going to serve the best interest of the people, which is the underlying goal.
Betty, you're next.
Thank you. As for Southeast not needing anything, I don't think that's true. And the YMCA is not a community center. It's open to members and for fees for classes, so it's not the same. We have never come back to, if you want to talk about wards, Ward 2 doesn't have a community center and never has had. But near us is Amazon Community Center, which has not gotten back to the level of operation that it had 20 years ago at all. It isn't open all the time. It isn't a place where you just go in and enjoy yourself. There's a daycare center there, which I know is very active. I see it there, see the people coming every morning, but it's like a business. And I know that building is in need of some repairs, at least unless it's happened very recently. I was thinking as I was walking, I saw a man shuffling along, trembling, and I thought it's a shame that building isn't open to a place to warm up. But I don't know that we...
It is.
I mean, if you have real community centers, people could just walk in and sit down and get warm, or maybe have some hot chocolate.
Right, I was just going to say we just remodeled the lobby of the Amazon Community Center just for that.
Not talking about the lobby, the other building, the one in the middle.
Building B.
Was
the art studio, okay.
The plaster's coming out. Unless it's just changed. The lobby looks beautiful, but it still isn't a place where I would go in and think I could sit down and meet neighbors. It's not that kind of place. And I think that's what we need all over town. And as for, Greg mentioned partnerships with schools. In some communities, and I know that I've heard that some schools here are open or being used by the city, but really those are public property. They belong to all of us. And we should find a way to better utilize the playgrounds and the gymnasiums, and I think the libraries too, but because they are public property and they are located all over town pretty much. And I don't know how, I would like to hear how much we're working with them in every part of the city. They would make great community centers for teenagers.
Yeah, we have in our discussions with our partners, again, that what you're talking about, Betty, is the community school concept of service delivery. It's having schools available after school time is over for the community use. And we've talked to both superintendents in the last 6 months, and both are in favor of looking at every option possible to increase that opportunity for the community school process in our area.
That's a good idea, thanks. And I'm looking at my seconds. I have to use every second too. But what do I want to say?
19.
I think never mind, I'll say it later.
Mayor, could I get in the queue?
Very quickly, because
15.
we're actually out of time, so you can, a sentence or so, Alan, and then we'll close that up.
Oh, okay.
I don't have another one.
Yeah, I think it's very important to have a new pool and the renovation of Echo Hollow Pool, and also the cover over Amazon. Is that envisioned in all of this? Sorry if I missed that. It's hard to follow on.
The cover over Amazon pool is in our project list. We are currently doing some analysis to understand what are the kind of ongoing operational needs that would accompany covering the pool, and so we're digging into that option, and we'll let you know when we have more information.
Okay.
So we're down to the wire. I had two people in round two, but there's no time for round two. But I did want to say they're going to be back again for further conversations, and they're available to you.
I was also going to say, if anybody wants to connect with anybody on the staff, please feel free to do that, and we'd be happy to sit down with people individually, as well as we'll be back after the first of the year a couple of times for more conversation.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.